On New Year's Eve, he abandoned me in Mississippi to be with his mistress, leaving my critically ill mother with no one to care for her. I knelt in the hospital begging for money to save her life, while he was throwing a party at a villa, taking family photos. In the end, my mother died during resuscitation because treatment was delayed. At that moment, I turned off my phone, cut off my long hair, and walked into a law firm. When my phone started vibrating, I was checking my suitcase. It was Daniel. I answered. His voice came through calm and flat. "We're not going to Mississippi. Cancel the tickets." I froze. "What?" "Sophia just called," he said as if it were obvious. "She's spending the new year alone and she's scared. I need to be with her." Fireworks exploded faintly outside the window. It was December 31st. In our 3 years of marriage, this was the first time we'd agreed to go back to my hometown in Mississippi for the holidays. My mom had been preparing for it for over a month. But I didn't finish. "Isn't your family really good at faking illnesses?" Daniel cut in, his voice laced with that familiar sarcasm. "Last time it was my mom's heart disease, and the physical showed nothing wrong. Now it's your mom's turn?" My fingertips went cold. My phone buzzed again. A message from my cousin. "Sis, Auntie's having severe chest pain. We just rushed her to the county hospital. When will you get here?" I took a deep breath and, for the first time, humbled myself before him. "Daniel, please. My mom is really sick. Let's just go back for 2 days. Just see her. Then we'll come back. Okay?" A woman's laughter drifted through the line, light and crisp. Sophia's voice followed faintly. "Daniel, which bottle of red wine should I open?" "Whichever you like, babe," he said, covering the phone. Then his voice turned clear again. "I'm hanging up. Grow up. Don't make a scene." The call ended. I stood there, staring at the half-packed suitcase. Then my phone started vibrating nonstop. It was our friend's group chat. Daniel posted a photo. He and Sophia were at his parents' beachfront villa. Fireworks bloomed beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Sophia, in a silk gown, leaned against his shoulder, smiling. Caption: New Year's should be spent with someone who truly understands you. Someone chimed in, "Sis-in-law looks gorgeous today." Daniel replied, "Of course." No one remembered that I was his legal wife. I stared at the photo for 10 seconds. Then I opened the ticket app and bought the earliest flight to Mississippi. One way. Packing took 5 minutes. I called a car to the airport. While waiting to board, I scrolled through social media. Daniel had updated again, 9 photos. Party. Champagne. Crowds. Sophia stood in front of the cake making a wish. Right in the center of the living room, the spot Daniel once said belonged to the lady of the house. In the corner of one photo, the potted plant I'd cared for 5 years had been pushed out onto the balcony. The day I said I wanted to bring it to our new home, he'd said it was a hassle. As the plane took off, the flight attendant reminded us to turn off electronic devices. I took one last look at my phone. The lock screen was our wedding photo. Daniel was smiling so gently. I pressed power off. The screen went black. I didn't cry. It was snowing in Mississippi. I reached the hospital at 3 a.m. The hallway was cold as an ice cellar. My cousin ran over with red eyes. "Sis, where's my mom?" "In the ER," she said, lips trembling. "The doctor says she needs imported medication immediately. Or else. I rushed to the payment window. The nurse typed on the keyboard and looked up. 50,000 up front. I pulled out my bank card. Wrong password. I tried again. Still wrong. Then I remembered, 2 days earlier, Daniel had said the company was short on cash at year-end and asked me to transfer all the money in my account to him. It was my salary card. Everything I'd saved over 5 years. 300,000. He said he'd return it in 3 days. My hands started shaking. I called Daniel. It rang 7 times before he picked up. The background was noisy, mahjong tiles. Laughter. He was at a party. "What now?" he said impatiently. "My mom's in the hospital. I need money. Transfer me 50,000, no. 100,000, right now." I said rapidly. "I'll send you the account number." He laughed. "Making up stories again?" "I'm not." My voice echoed through the empty hallway. Mississippi People's Hospital. Cardiology ER. The attending physician's last name is Chin. "You can call and ask. Have your dad pay for it," he said lightly. All the blood in my body froze. He knew my dad died in a car accident when I was 10, at our wedding. He'd promised to take my dad's place and take care of me. Daniel. I heard my own voice shaking. Please. I'm busy, he said. Stop bothering me. The call ended. I slid down the wall and sat on the floor. My cousin crouched beside me and grabbed my hand. Sis, I looked up at the red light above the ER doors. It glowed like blood. A nurse stuck her head out. Family member. If we don't use the medication now, it'll be too late. I stood up. I walked back to the payment window. I knelt down, right there, in front of the young nurse. Please use the medication first, I said slowly, word by word. I'll borrow the money. I'll make it up before sunrise. Please save my mom. The nurse froze. People in line turned to look. I knelt straight, eyes fixed on her. I promise. She bit her lip and picked up the phone. I borrowed the money. My cousin withdrew all of her wedding dowry savings. $50,000 in cash, stuffed into a plastic bag, damp because she'd run all the way there. I rushed back to the window and paid. The medication went in. I pressed my forehead against the ER door. I couldn't hear anything. The hallway clock ticked, second by second. 5:17 a.m. The red light went out. The door opened. The doctor walked out. Mask pulled down to his chin. He looked at me, an expression I would remember for the rest of my life. He said, "We did everything we could." The world suddenly went silent. My cousin's crying sounded far away. The nurse's footsteps sounded far away. Outside the window, snow fell without a sound. I stood there, unmoving. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I took it out. A message from Daniel. A photo. Daniel and Sophia, with his parents, the four of them, taking a family portrait in the villa living room. Sophia wore a wine-red velvet dress. I'd seen it in a magazine last month, $38,000. I'd said it was too expensive and couldn't bring myself to buy it. Caption, saved you a spot. In the photo, Sophia stood beside Daniel, her arm linked with his mother's. That spot was supposed to be mine. I stared at it for a long time. Then I turned off my phone and walked into the ER. My mom lay there, very still. I held her hand, it was still warm. The nurse spoke softly, saying there were procedures to take care of. I nodded, while sorting through her belongings. A small cloth bag slipped out of her purse. Inside was a hand-knitted sweater, dark gray, men's style. A tag was sewn inside, in my mom's handwriting, for Daniel. Mississippi is cold. Afraid you'll freeze. Her heart had always been weak. Knitting strained her eyes. She had spent 2 months making that sweater. I ran my fingers over the tight, careful stitches. My phone vibrated again. A voice message from Daniel. Feeling better now? Come back tomorrow. Go with me to a cocktail event. I opened the input box, typed 3 words, deleted them, typed again, then finally sent it. We're done. Divorce. Message sent. I blocked him. Daniel reacted fast. After WeChat was blocked, he switched to text messages. First message, you done making a scene? Second, unblock me right now. Third, Sophia is just a friend. Do you really have to be this petty? I didn't reply. He called. I hung up. He called from another number. I hung up again. By the 10th call, his tone changed in text. Pick up. Let's talk. I still didn't respond. The funeral took time. Mississippi customs required a 3-day vigil. The mourning hall was set up in the old family house. Few people came, some relatives. A few of my mom's former colleagues. Daniel didn't come. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, his messages started flooding in. What do you want exactly? Divorce? You know that won't benefit you. I'm sorry about your mom, but that's not my fault. Reply. Lily, I'm warning you. Answer the phone. Lily, I was wrong. Okay, just come back first. The last message, where are you? I'm coming to find you. I scrolled through them slowly. From commands, to threats, to panic. It felt like reading someone else's story. The snow stopped on the day of the burial. At the cemetery, it was just my cousin and me. When the headstone was set, I knelt and bowed 3 times. I said, Mom, from now on, I'll never bow my head for anyone again. The wind swept through, like a sigh. On the way home, I passed a hair salon. I pushed the door open. Short. I said, how short? Above the ears. Snip, snip. Long hair fell to the floor. The person in the mirror looked unfamiliar, cold eyes, sharp and quiet. As I stepped out of the salon, my phone vibrated again. An unfamiliar number. I answered. Lily, you finally picked up. Daniel's voice was urgent and angry. What the hell are you? I hung up, blocked the number. Then I opened my contacts and found a number I'd saved years ago but never called. A lawyer, Eric. A friend had introduced him before I got married, saying I could go to him if I ever needed a divorce. I'd laughed back then, said I'd never need it. The phone rang twice before he answered. Hello, MS. Lily. His voice was calm. How can I help you? I want a divorce, I said. Eric's office was in a downtown high-rise. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the river. He poured me tea and opened a folder. You've been married 3 years. In theory, marital assets include post-marriage income, investments, and appreciation of property, he said, adjusting his glasses. But you just told me your salary card has always been managed by Daniel? I nodded. He said he was better with money. The house? Our marital home was bought by his parents before the marriage, under their names. The apartment we live in is rented under his company's name. Cars? In his name. The one I usually drive is a company car. Cash savings? My account is empty. He said everything went into investments. Any investment records? I shook my head. Eric was silent for a moment, writing on a sheet of paper. Then he looked up. So legally speaking, you currently hold 0 assets in your name. My fingertips went numb. But there's one sum. I suddenly remembered. Half a year ago, my mom sold her old house. $500,000. She transferred all of it to Daniel. He said the company was preparing for an IPO, and this counted as my investment, said it would be worth 10 times more after listing. Eric's gaze sharpened. Any agreement? No. He said we were husband and wife. No need to be so formal. Do you have the transfer records? Yes. I pulled up my banking app and showed him. After reading it, Eric sighed softly. MS. Lily, this isn't an investment. This is a loan, and it may even be considered a joint marital debt, he said calmly. That means if the company loses money, you could also be liable for repayment. I sat there and almost laughed. So after 3 years, I didn't just have nothing, I might even be buried in debt. However, Eric continued, this transfer record is critical evidence. It shows that during the marriage, he transferred and concealed marital funds. Combined with his emotional abandonment after your mother's death, we can file for divorce and request a larger share of assets, assuming there are any left to divide. He paused, but the process will be slow. Months, possibly a year or 2. I can't wait that long, I said. Then what do you want? I looked out the window. Boats were moving across the river. I want 2 things, I said, turning back to him. First, a divorce, as fast as possible. Second, I want my mom's $500,000 back. And if he refuses, then we go to court, I said. I don't have money, but I can work and pay legal fees. Eric studied me for a moment, then smiled. All right, I'll send a lawyer's letter first, and I suggest you find a job as soon as possible. Financial independence is leverage. I nodded. When I left the firm, I sent a message to my former company's creative director. When I quit 3 years ago, he told me I was welcome back anytime. He replied instantly, come in for an interview tomorrow. I stood on the street, phone in hand. Then I turned into a stationery shop and bought a sketchbook and a box of pencils. That night, I opened the first page. I drew my mom. The interview was the next afternoon. The director paused when he saw me. You cut your hair. Yeah. I sat down. 3 years without working, can you keep up? He asked bluntly. We use AI-assisted design now. You'll need to relearn things. Give me a week. I said. I can learn. He raised an eyebrow. That confident? I'll pull all-nighters. He laughed and tossed me a tablet. We've got a rush project. Jewelry campaign sketches. Theme is rebirth. 2 hours. I took the tablet. The conference room was quiet. I opened the drawing software. My fingers felt a little rusty at first, but soon I found my rhythm. The pencil moved across the screen, lines flowing smoothly. I thought of the snow in the cemetery, the sound of scissors cutting my hair, the moment the red light went out. 2 hours later, I handed in 3 sketches. The first, a broken necklace. Pearls scattered but restrung into a new pattern. The second, molten gold reshaped into wings. The third, the simplest, a hand reaching up from ashes. Thorns wrapped around the wrist, with a blood-red flower blooming at the tip. The creative director stared at them for a long time. Then he looked up. "Come in tomorrow. Salary increased by 30% compared to before you quit." "Thank you, but I have to warn you," he said. "This line of work is stressful. Lots of overtime. Your family, I'm alone." I cut him off. "I can work late as long as it takes." He nodded. I got up and left. By the time I stepped out of the building, night had fallen. Daniel was standing under the streetlight. He looked tired, unshaven, his suit wrinkled. He saw me and hurried over. "Lily." He grabbed my arm. "Let's talk." I yanked my arm free. "There's nothing to talk about. The lawyer will contact you. Do you have to be like this?" His voice rose. "My mom said if you keep causing trouble, forget about the house. It was never mine to begin with." I said, "I'll pay you the $500,000. He panicked. "But you have to drop the lawsuit first. Your actions are affecting my company's financing." I looked at him, and suddenly, it all felt ridiculous. "Daniel," I said slowly, "you were at a party when my mom died." He froze. "When her heart stopped. You were taking family photos with Sophia. When she was being buried. You were texting threats to me." I stepped forward. Passers-by began to look. "Do you know?" My voice was quiet but firm. "The doctor said that if she had received the medicine half an hour earlier, she might have survived. That half hour. I was on the phone begging you to transfer $50,000. Daniel's face went pale. "You told me to have my dad pay," I said, enunciating each word, knowing full well my dad's been gone for 20 years. People nearby stopped walking. "I didn't mean," he stammered. "You didn't mean anything." I finished for him. "You only thought of yourself." I turned to leave. Suddenly he grabbed my wrist. "Lily, I'm sorry. I didn't know it would come to this." I looked down at his hand on mine. Then I pried each of his fingers apart. "You have 3 deaths on your hands," I said, looking into his eyes. "My dad, my mom, and our dead marriage." He stepped back, as if burned. "Now," I said, "don't touch me." A taxi pulled up just then. I opened the door and got in. In the rearview mirror, he stood frozen, unmoving. The new job was demanding. I was the first in the office and the last to leave. After a week, the director assigned me a small project to manage on my own. After a month, I was promoted to team lead. During this time, Eric was negotiating with Daniel's lawyer. The other side was firm, refusing to return the $500,000, citing marital investment losses. I said we'd go to court. Then Sophia called. It was an unknown number. I answered. Her voice was sweet, soft. "MS. Lily?" I pressed the record button. "What do you want? Can we meet?" She pleaded. "I want to explain about you and Daniel. Say it on the phone." She was silent for a few seconds. "Daniel hasn't been doing well. Company financing paused. His parents are pressuring him. Please let him go. MS. Lily." I laughed. "Those words should come from me to you. You misunderstand," she said urgently. "I'm just a friend." That New Year's Eve, my parents were abroad. I was scared alone. "So he came to be with me. Your divorce isn't because of me. Then why were you wearing the dress I couldn't bring myself to buy?" I asked. She was speechless. Why stand next to his mom for family photos? Why throw a party while my mom was in critical condition? Her breathing grew heavier. "Lily," she said, coldly, dropping the act. "You're not good enough for him. You should have stepped aside long ago." Finally telling the truth, I said, "You think you'll get any money from the divorce?" She sneered. "He's already moved the assets. That $500,000? Not a cent for you. So you admit, you planned this all along?" "So what?" she said arrogantly. "He loves me. Since college. You just tried to take advantage while I was abroad. Now I'm back. You need to go." I listened quietly. "Also," she added, "that text your mom received, that was me." I clenched my fingers. "What text?" "The one telling her you were pregnant." She laughed. Of course it was fake, but she believed it and had a heart attack. Too bad it didn't kill her instantly. I closed my eyes. then opened them. "Thank you for telling me that," I said calmly. "For what?" "The call is recorded," I said evenly, "including you admitting to sending false information and deliberately provoking my mother to trigger her illness." Silence on the line, then a sharp gasp. "You, Sophia," I interrupted. "You're finished." I hung up, saved the recording, forwarded it to Eric. 3 minutes later, he called back. "This evidence could lead to a criminal case. Intentional harm causing death." "Not yet," I said. "First, I want to see Daniel." Daniel's company was in the new CBD, occupying an entire floor. The receptionist stood when she saw me. "Do you have an appointment?" "No." I walked straight in. "Ma'am, you can't." I pushed through the glass door. The office floor was huge. Employees at their desks looked up. Some recognized me. Expressions surprised. Daniel's office was at the far end. The door was closed. I pushed it open and walked in. He was on the phone. When he saw me, he jumped up. "What are you doing here?" he said. "I'll call you back." Then hung up. "Get out," he said, scowling. I tossed the divorce agreement onto his desk. "Sign it." He glanced at it and sneered. "Leaving with nothing? Dream on. Then give me the $500,000. I said. "I don't even need interest." "No money." He sat down, spinning in his chair. "Company lost it all." I nodded, pulled out my phone, pressed play. Sophia's voice came through the speaker. "The text your mom received was sent by me, too. The one saying you were pregnant. Of course it was fake." Daniel's expression cracked. Bit by bit, the office door was open. Employees outside heard everything. Some covered their mouths. Some stared, eyes wide. The recording ended. Dead silence. Daniel stared at my phone like it was a venomous snake. His lips trembled. She was lying. Whether she was lying or not is for the police to decide. I said, putting my phone away. "Intentional harm resulting in death. Minimum 3 years." He shot to his feet, slamming the desk with a loud bang. "Lily, you can't." "I can." I looked straight at him. "You have 2 choices. First, sign the agreement. Return the money, and I won't report it for now. Second, I walk straight into the police station with this recording, and you and Sophia go in together." Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. "You're forcing me. You forced me." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "Daniel, my mom knitted you a sweater. The tag says, 'Afraid you'll be cold.' Even when she died, she was still thinking about you." His eyes turned red, whether it was regret or fear. I didn't know. "Sign it," I said. "Or not." His hand shook as he picked up the pen. He flipped to the last page of the agreement. The pen hovered over the signature line. Then, suddenly, he ripped the agreement in half. "I won't sign." He threw the pieces at me. "Go report it. See who believes you. Sophia's family has connections. You won't win." The torn pages fell at my feet. I looked down at them, then looked up and smiled. "Okay." I turned and walked out. "Wait!" he shouted after me. I didn't stop. When I reached the center of the open office, I turned around. All the employees were staring at me, their expressions complicated. I raised my voice. "Everyone, sorry to take 1 minute of your time." The room went quiet. "I'm Daniel's wife, Lily. 3 months ago, he transferred all our marital assets, including the $500,000 my mother got from selling her house. When my mother was critically ill, he refused to pay her medical bills, which led to delayed treatment and her death. And his mistress, Sophia, sent false messages to deliberately stimulate my mother, accelerating her death." I raised my phone. "I have audio evidence. I came today to give him one last chance." He refused. Daniel burst out of his office, face ashen. "So," I said, to him, and to everyone else, "see you in court." I turned and left. As the elevator doors closed, I saw him collapse at his office doorway, head in his hands. Eric called later. Daniel's lawyer had reached out voluntarily. They were willing to return the $500,000 and to sign the divorce. But there was a condition. "He wants you to promise not to prosecute Sophia," Eric said on the phone. "Impossible. He says if you agree, he'll leave with nothing, though realistically, there's not much left anyway. His parents are willing to transfer the marital house to you as compensation." I was silent. "Lily," Eric said calmly, From a legal standpoint, criminal proceedings take a long time. The evidence chain needs to be reinforced. Sophia's family does have influence, and the final outcome may not be what we hope. With this settlement, you get your money back in a house. The location's average, but it's worth around $3 million. You think I should accept? I think it's worth considering. He paused, but the decision is yours. The next day, Daniel and I met at the law firm. He looked thinner, eye sockets sunken. When he saw me, his eyes darted away. The agreement is ready, Eric said, sliding the papers over. Daniel returns $500,000 plus interest, transfers the marital house to you, and both parties agree to divorce. I flipped through it. The addendum is here, Daniel said quietly. You promise not to pursue any legal responsibility against Sophia. I looked at him. You're still protecting her. He lowered his head. Even though she caused my mom's death, she didn't mean to. His voice grew smaller. Suddenly, I felt exhausted. A kind of exhaustion deeper than pulling 3 all-nighters. I've changed my mind. I pushed the agreement back. Daniel looked up, panicked. What? I don't want the money, I said. He froze. $500,000, I don't want a cent. Even Eric turned to look at me. I don't want the house either. I continued. You keep it. Then what do you want? I want you to do one thing. I met Daniel's eyes. I want you to personally report Sophia's family company for tax evasion and financial fraud. You have the evidence, you've worked with them for years. His face went white. You're insane, 2 choices. I said. You report them, or I report her for intentional harm. You choose. His lips trembled. She's innocent. Was my mother innocent? I suddenly raised my voice. He flinched. The conference room stayed silent for a long time. You report them, she goes to prison. I report her, you both go to prison. I said calmly. Pick one. He covered his face. Sobs leaked through his fingers. Like a child. But no one would pity him anymore. 5 minutes later, he dropped his hands. Eyes red. I'll report them. Good. I looked at Eric. Revise the agreement. I waive all property claims and only request divorce. Add one clause, after the divorce takes effect. Daniel must report Sophia's family company to the police within 7 days. If he fails to do so, I reserve the right to reclaim all rights. Eric typed quickly, printed it. Daniel stared at the new agreement for a long time, then picked up the pen. His hand shook badly, but the signature was clear. When he put the pen down, he looked hollowed out. Are you satisfied now? His voice was hoarse. No, I said, but this is what you deserve. I signed my name. The pen pressed through the paper, like cutting through a chain. A week later, the news broke. Sophia's family company suspected of billions in tax evasion. Executives taken in for investigation. The photo showed Sophia's father in handcuffs, being escorted into a police car, his mother crying and shouting behind him. Sophia was also in the frame, hair disheveled, trying to rush forward but held back by the police. Comments exploded. Flashy lifestyle. But turns out it was all tax evasion, also financial fraud. Loans scammed for billions. Serves them right. 2 days later, Sophia herself was summoned. The media dug up her lavish overseas spending and scandalous past. Former socialite friends deleted photos with her, cutting ties. A month later, the verdict came down. Her father, 10 years. Her mother, 3 years. Sophia, as a company executive aware of wrongdoing, but not reporting it, 3 years in prison. On the day of the verdict, Daniel went to the courthouse. I saw him in the corner of a news photo, seated in the last row of the gallery, head down. He didn't see me. I watched from the second floor of a coffee shop across the street, through the glass, as the crowd dispersed. When Sophia was escorted out, she suddenly broke free from the police and lunged at Daniel. She slapped him sharply. You betrayed me. You said you loved me. She screamed. The police pulled her away. She continued screaming. Daniel, I hate you. I'll haunt you forever. Daniel stood frozen, a red handprint on his face. Onlookers snapped photos. The next day, the images trended online. Headline, former golden couple turns bitter rivals. Eric called me. He fulfilled his promise. Did you see the news? I did. How do you feel? I looked out the window at the clear blue sky. Nothing. I said. Justice had come, but it wasn't by my hand. He had sent the woman he loved most, his white moonlight, to prison with his own hands. Meanwhile, my paintings sold. Not just the design sketches, I had painted an oil painting in my free time. The reborn hand caught the director's eye. He insisted on hanging it in his office. Later, a client came in, saw it, and asked who the artist was. The director introduced me. The client, a gallery owner, wanted to see more of my work, those sketchbook pieces, dark, sharp, yet faintly luminous. She asked if I would hold an exhibition. I said I wasn't famous. She said, "Art speaks for itself." The show was titled Reborn. Opening night. A crowd came, media, art world folks, strangers. I stood in a simple black dress. In the corner, some were moved to tears. A girl approached, eyes red. "I just got divorced last month." Seeing broken chain. Thank you. She hugged me. I froze, then returned the hug gently. The paintings sold well. A third sold on opening night. The gallery extended the exhibition by 2 more weeks. Coverage called it, "From Housewife to Emerging Artist, Lily's Path of Rebirth." I closed the article, but the numbers in my bank account were real. I hadn't taken the 500,000, but by my own hand. I earned my first 100,000, then 200,000, 500,000. The day the divorce was finalized, I bought myself a necklace. Not jewelry, just a thin silver chain, with a pendant of a small piece of broken glass I'd taken from my mother's old magnifying lens, polished into a teardrop, cold against my skin, but reassuring. Men began to approach me. A gallery regular, gentle, polite, a businessman. He brought flowers, invited me to dinner. I thanked him but declined. He asked why. I said, "I don't need anyone right now." He smiled, and didn't press. It was fine. Daniel's mother came to the gallery while I was setting up new works. She'd aged considerably, hair mostly white, attire still meticulous, eyes weary. "Lily." She called me by my childhood nickname. I put down the frame. "Auntie." She gave a wry smile. "You still call me that?" I said nothing. She pulled an envelope from her bag and pushed it toward me. "This is from Daniel. 10 million. Compensation." I glanced at it. Didn't move. "Where did he get the money?" "He sold the company." She lowered her gaze. "And the house?" "He wants to leave. Go abroad." "So, a breakup settlement?" "An apology." She looked up, eyes glistening. "Lily, he wronged you." "Our whole family did." I looked at her. I remembered her holding my hand at the wedding. "I'll treat you as my own daughter." I remembered watching over her through 3 days and nights when she was sick. I remembered her pressuring me to have children later. "Keep the money," I said. "I don't need it." "You must take it," she insisted. "Otherwise I'll never have peace of mind, then continue without peace," I said calmly. She froze. "Auntie." I stepped closer. "Do you know where Daniel's first startup money came from?" She looked confused. "Sophia's father invested it," I said, "on the condition he be with Sophia. But he was already married to me, so he lied, said it was his own money." Her face went pale. "When Sophia returned to the country, he thought he had found true love again, but actually, he just didn't want to lose the connections. The backing." I smiled. "Unfortunately, the backing was illegal." Her lips trembled. You knew all along?" "Just now," I said. "But it doesn't matter anymore." She buried her face and cried. After crying, she wiped her eyes. "Lily, can you see him one last time? He's leaving. Maybe never coming back. He said he wants to apologize to you in person." I was silent. Birds flew outside the window. "Okay," I said. "Not forgiveness. Closure." Daniel was in a hotel near the airport. When he opened the door, I barely recognized him. Emaciated, deep-set eyes, scruffy beard. The room smelled of smoke and alcohol. "You came," he rasped. I stepped in. "Didn't sit. Tomorrow morning's flight," he said, pointing at the suitcase. "Canada. Never coming back. Sophia's sentenced to 3 years. He gave a self-deprecating laugh. "Her family hates me. I can't stay here." I said nothing. He looked at me. "You're doing well." "Yes. I saw the exhibition in the news. Very successful." "Thank you." He rubbed his face. I know I don't have the right, but I really regret it. I waited. If I had gone with you to Snow State that day, no ifs. I interrupted him. He choked on the words. You called me here just to hear me say, I forgive you? I asked. His eyes flickered. I won't say it, I said bluntly. I will never forgive you. His shoulders slumped. I know, he murmured. I don't deserve it. Right. You don't. He looked up. Eyes red. At least remember me. Don't erase me completely from your memory. I stared at him. The man I once loved. The one I thought I'd spend my life with. Now he stood there like a beggar, pleading for a scrap of memory as if it were charity. Daniel, I said slowly, I will live well. I will be successful, free, and meet better people, though I won't need to. I will be happy, truly happy. Tears fell from his eyes. And you, I continued, you will live forever in regret. Every time you think of my mother, of me, of Sophia, of everything you destroyed, you will feel pain. This pain will follow you your entire life. He covered his face. That's what you deserve, I said. I turned and left. My hand touched the door handle, and he called out, Lily. I stopped. I loved you, he said, voice broken. Really? I opened the door. Love isn't like this, I said. The door closed behind me, cut off all cries. 3 months later, a news alert popped up. Chinese man found dead in Canadian apartment. Suicide note, just 3 words. I opened it. The photo was censored, but the description noted the man's surname, Chin, 32, former domestic entrepreneur, recently immigrated. The suicide note read, I was wrong. I closed my phone, went back to my painting. That afternoon, the director peeked in. Did you see the news? Is that your ex-husband? Yes. He asked cautiously. You, okay? I'm fine. I looked up. Have the posters for next week's exhibition been finalized? He blinked, then smiled. Yes. You really are a workaholic. What else? He shook his head and left. After work, my phone was full of unread messages, friends, relatives, cautious check-ins. I replied to all, I'm fine. Thanks for checking. Then set everything to do not disturb. Walking home, the sunset was beautiful. Golden light flooded the streets. I bought a single white lily at a florist, placed it in a vase in my studio, next to my mother's photo. In the picture, she smiled softly. Mom, I whispered, it's all over. The wind came through the window, gently moving the lily. I didn't cry. There were no tears left to shed. I opened a second gallery. This one was entirely mine, 3 floors in the arts district. Top floor my studio and living space. Floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the city at night. The Reborn series was acquired by a museum. A magazine came to interview me. Photographer clicked shots of me in a white shirt and jeans. No makeup. Cover headline, Self-Made Woman, Lily's Art of Rebirth. Inside, the journalist asked, after all you've been through, do you still hope for love and marriage? I replied, I have higher expectations for myself. She pressed, do you hate your ex? I thought for a moment. Hate is exhausting, I said. I choose to forget, not forgive, erase, delete his name from my heart completely, like formatting a computer. Now, my world contained only canvases, paints, exhibitions, contracts, cash flow, freedom, and my mother's photo. She would always watch over me in the studio. In the fall, I went to Snow State to visit her grave. The headstone was clean. I placed a bunch of her favorite bellflowers, stood there a while, then said, Mom, I'm leaving. I'll see you next year. On the way down, my phone pinged with a bank alert. Pre-sale revenue from the new exhibition had arrived. 7 figures. I screenshotted it and sent it to the family chat, just me in it, with the caption, Mom, look. Of course, no reply would come, but I knew she was watching. On the plane ride back, I opened my sketchbook, drew new sketches. A woman standing on a mountaintop, holding a broken mirror, but reflected in the glass wasn't her face, it was a bird in flight. The title hadn't come yet. A flight attendant brought me a drink, glanced at the drawing, and whispered, beautiful. I smiled, closed the sketchbook, looked out the window. Above the clouds, the sun blazed. The plane climbed higher, towards the open sky. I closed my eyes. Old music played in my headphones. The lyrics went, "I finally lost you," in the crowded streets. But I knew I hadn't lost anyone. I had just finally found myself.